And by the way, here's some information about ratifications. He didn't declare anything, okay? Look at it yourselves. See if you think that that is a declaration, because it's not, okay? And it says, and a footnote here, letter by which Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson notified the governors of the states of the ratification of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, and it's reprinted from a memo by Helen Hill Miller, Harper's Magazine, June 1963. So Helen Hill Miller, who was a George Mason scholar in 1930s and 40s and 50s, she passed away in like 1994. Her papers are at Harvard, and that memo was not there. But she wrote a memo that no one seems to know where it is. And she took the position that she thought that this letter was epic and that it affected, and that was the declaration. But this is a cover letter. So one would think you'd want to read what was enclosed in the letter, which I will pass around to you as well. Yep. Which I got out of the archives. And this is a printing. This is the Library of Congress's copy from the archives. And you can read it. And more importantly, number one, Pennsylvania is included as ratifying Article 1st. New Hampshire is included as ratifying Article 2nd. And nowhere in here does he declare anything. He just says, oh, here's the information we have so far. And by the way, that's an afterthought in a letter about fisheries. So this is what is cited to in history, relied upon by the Attorney General, the Supreme Court, and it's a footnote that cites to a magazine, that cites to an unpublished article, that relies upon a letter that is a cover letter and doesn't have the enclosure. Now again, they thought that they had something great, and all I did was go to the Department of State documents and quickly was able to find the letter. It's not like, and all it is, it's a cover letter. It's in here also. So if you take the cover letter, you'd think you'd want to see what the enclosure is. So now we have debunked that Professor Schwartz has been lying to us, and everyone's been believing it is true, since 1971 when people have been paying attention. It gets worse. Professor Bernard Schwartz, I don't want to use the word plagiarized, but we all went to grammar school, I assume, and I'm not casting aspersions because I never cheated in school. I was the one that everyone wanted to cheat on, cheat off of. You don't cheat off the kid that gets the 40 on the math test. You want to cheat off someone who knows the answers. Well, Professor Bernard Schwartz, I'm going to pass around, here's his chart, okay? You know what the problem is? It's not even his chart. Professor Bernard Schwartz plagiarized a chart from 1844 from this book, which I'm going to pass around. Now,
if only you would know.
People can say a lot about me, but they cannot criticize my credentials as a scholar. Let me pass this around because first, I want you to take a look at this stuff. You're all pretty smart people. Compare this chart, right, sir, with this chart. Now, are they similar or are they identical? It's a leading question.
Are you going to look at them?
I object.
Can you say that louder?
Wow.
Say it one more time.
Wow.
Now, pass these around. Compare the two. Compare the two. So someone made a mistake. Huh? No, he didn't even footnote it. You know how I found it? You know how I caught him?
No.
It's the best part. In 1971, he had this book come out. He got paid a lot of money. And everyone in history believes it's true.
Every law student has this book.
And so then 7 years later, he wrote another book. Because you make money when you write things. Even when you're wrong. And so in that book, which he talks about the great rights of mankind. He tells a warm, fuzzy story about the Bill of Rights, which is not really true. Okay. And he's factually inaccurate. Got paid a lot of money. It was published by, what was it? Let's see. I'm not being sarcastic here, but Oxford University Press. Wasn't self-published on the web. And when you go to the page where he says, oh, and the, when you go to the page where he says, and cites to, and this is where Thomas Jefferson declared blah, 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 because he essentially cites his own bad homework as truth for that. he also footnotes for the first time, 7 years later, this book in a footnote. Now, compare the name of this book with the name of that book when you get a chance. I'll save you time. It's the same book.
No.
Okay? So the point is, I guess, I don't know whether he was under a deadline or whatever, but he took inaccurate information and published it as if it was true, and everyone relies upon it as if it was true. Now,
Sounds like the government.
huh?
Sounds like the government.
Okay. Well, rules only apply if you want them to. Yeah, I'm going to ask Congress's permission to bomb Syria. Oh, if they say no, I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, well, what's the Constitution for? I guess we're all here as a bunch of jokesters to do whatever you want. But if you had one for every 50,000 people in Congress, that wouldn't be the case. But I'll get back to that. So let me explain how Article the First got lost, deep six, and hid in history. Because let's take the chart first. And let me explain the Constitution's Article 5's amendment process. Remember how I explained that an amendment is ratified when, it becomes law when ratified. Now, when ratified means when the legislatures of 3/4 of the states have given their affirmative vote and their assent. Now, it gets even more specific, because even though the text of the Constitution's Article 5 is pretty clear, because say you vote on a Tuesday and the clerk doesn't get around to doing the resolution until the following Wednesday, a week, say 8 days later.